Hello and welcome back to Universal Love Law. Now for the moments you've been waiting for. We're going to do the dark-sided Capricorn energy. And this video is very important because I feel like some of the most karmic and jaded aspects are the Capricorn dark-sided people, the Cancer dark-sided people, the Scorpio dark-sided people, even the Aries dark-sided people, certain, even Pisces, I'm going to get to that. Certain dark sides can be so hard to deal with. And this is one that a dark-sided Capricorn is it's like self-inflicted wounds. Like some signs, they hurt others. Like their dark side is to affect others. And the root is always from within, right? Like those Libras, they lash out, and it affects others more. It affects them, but it's not self-sacrificing or victimizing or suffering or sacrifice. It's not dealing with that the way it is with the Capricorn dark-sided person. So I want to just give this disclaimer first and foremost. The Capricorn energy for you guys, dark-sided, note that when I'm doing this video, it's informational. I'm not saying that you have all of these traits. You take what you can and leave the rest. If you know someone, you take what you can, leave the rest. Don't throw something on a person that you don't know. If just because I'm saying this is just based off research and experience with certain Capricorns that are dark-sided. And so you may not fit the script for any of this, right? You may just be a more positive and know how to use your Capricorn energy in a very positive light. Okay, so, and also for the Capricorn dark-sided, this energy can play out wherever Capricorn is in your chart, not just your sun, moon, and rising. There's some people that have their house ruler is in Capricorn. So let's see, my 11th house is in Capricorn. So the way I approach my friendships and things of that nature is very Capricorn. Like, I can be dark-sided in that if I choose to. Everything is free will. A lot of things too sometimes is due to mental imbalances. Okay, so I think it's really important for people to know that when we're talking about the Capricorn energy, it can be from traumatic experiences that they have experienced in early childhood that has caused them to grow up with these challenges. But it also can be stemmed from mental imbalances and mental disabilities, mental problems, people that are mentally ill. And mental illness is not something that a lot of people, it is now, like people are becoming more aware of it and accepting the fact that mental illnesses deals with a chemical imbalance. So it's dealing with physical biology. Okay, it's dealing with the chemicals that our bodies naturally release in the brain to cause a reaction, but these chemicals are being released in very high dosages in our brain. It's just naturally our brain is unwired. Okay, so epinephrine is something that is a chemical that our brain releases that is a stress trigger. So there's healthy stress that epinephrine could, kick into gear, and, you start to work harder. Certain things cause different chemical releases. And so people that are having issues in their life, they could be having some mental illness and chemical imbalances. So we want to take these things serious. I've been talking for a long time, so let's jump into this video. So first and foremost, you Capricorn dark-sided people can be ruthless. The dark side, so Capricorn is Earth, okay? But it's cardinal Earth, so it's an initiator. They strive to achieve and to create tangible success, stability, all of those things, right? They strive for that. They initiate the action necessary, the practical steps necessary to acquiring success and stability, things of that nature. But dark-sided, a Capricorn dark side person can seek the success that comes with it, and the power and the control. These people can be extremely power driven and very ruthless, because on their way up to the top, they can destroy and demolish anyone in their way. They don't deal with emotions. They're earth, so they're practical. They can actually completely detach and have no conscious, okay? And that's kind of the remorse that people have and deal with. The Capricorn people can be some of the darkest, like Scorpio, when it comes to not to just lacking that empathy completely. And it could be not even by choice. Sometimes Scorpio choose to turn that off because they're water, they're emotion. Now Capricorn, it's just naturally a default in them to have it turned off, because they don't, because the good thing is they look towards common sense. They like practical common sense, things that make sense and things that are in order. Okay, if things are in order, they will find a place to put it. They have a problem too with categorizing and grouping people, but I'll get to that in a moment. So they can be very ruthless on their way to the top, creating stability and success for themselves. And depending on their life, if they're born into a darker lifestyle, they can be born into kind of homes or situations where drug dealing is very common theme for them, or they have very lucrative ways to making money that are very dark sided. So once they begin to become aware of what creates the stability in their life, the dark-sided Capricorns will be money hungry, because they realize that's what you need in this world to have the things that you want. And they could be very materialistic and completely cut out the people in their lives just for the almighty dollar. Okay, male and female, they can be very cold, and sometimes they can be doing it to impress others. They like some of them, most of them are very materialistic for themselves and can just bask in the ambience like a tourist. They like to have it for themselves, like, oh my God, they just want it. But the Capricorn, they like to just see their money, so they could be very cheap. Okay, it could cause them to, like, not buy the things they know they need just so they can have money in the bank, or see the money stacked up, or know that they could get it and I could get it like 10 times if I wanted to, but I don't want to get it. So you got different kind of Capricorns. You got the Capricorns that are not in no type of competition with anybody, and so they don't care to buy materialistic things to compete with people. Then you got the ones that are just in love with money and want to just have it just because they are aware mentally of the stability that it can create. And so those are the very dangerous ones, because they could be very grimy, even in their way that they carry themselves. They could be very grimy, but somehow they getting their money and they could work. But see, when the person has nothing else but just the desire to make money, it can make them very empty. Okay, it can make them not have anything else to give, like anything else outside of that to give. No purpose besides making money, being in this position to where they have what they need and they not caring about others. They can be the black sheeps of the family. The dark-sided Capricorns are usually the black sheeps of the family, and they get into sibling rivalry like those Aries. Okay, they can have a sibling that they just hate. Like they say, like, I just hate her. They use hate a lot. They can also be hunted due to their very negative way of thinking, like that Scorpio energy. But another thing that they share in common with the Scorpio and Aries energy is that they can visualize how they will destroy someone. So they're very premeditated. Now Aries isn't as premeditated. They react off impulse. But if they do sit down and take the time out to plan out something, they will execute that plan. They will have all the momentum and everything necessary to do so. But the dark-sided Capricorn energy, they're more so very strategic, very premeditated. They do everything like that anyways, even the light-sided ones. Dark-sided Capricorns, they categorize things in black and white. So sometimes they have these sayings where it's like it's three different type of women in this world. A lady, a slut, and a woman, or something like that. You know, like they just don't realize that they do this. I notice a lot of the Capricorn people that have done this. They categorize people, and that's just because they like things to make sense, and so they have that kind of they have a calculated mind, like a math mind, and so they organize things in their mind. It's another tactic that they use to get ahead, but they need things to make sense. They're very practical. They don't really like to go off instincts and like intuition. You know, they like to go off of common sense and predictability, like the probable outcomes, things of that nature. So they categorize things and they categorize people. So they'll put you in a box, they'll put them in a box, they can be very prejudiced with people, you know. They can say, oh, you do that, you for the streets, or oh, you do that, you broke. Like, you know, just write you off, like give you a whole description of you. Like, they just know you, and they just don't have time and patience. The dark-sided Capricorn don't have time and patience to just be sitting around trying to figure out the good in you. They just see you for what you present and what it's worth. But yeah, ultimately, as women, they can be in relationships, they could be very money hungry, and they could go after people that need them because they like to control things. They like things that are predictable. They cannot predict the outcome of a person that makes more than them. They don't like that unpredictability. They like people, they know where you work, they know how much you make, they know what you can afford, what you can't afford. They know you inside and out, so they could deem you, because the Capricorn dark-sided deals with insecurity at a very extreme level that causes deep depression. So some people get depressed off just life and like how hard it is, right? Capricorn can be depressed off their insecurities, like what they're lacking, things about them they cannot change, like their body. You know, they can mutilize themselves as well, with surgeries and things like that. But Capricorn really doesn't deal with that as much as Scorpio does. But they can be depressed from the insecurities of what other people think of them, their status, like where they are in their career. All that type of stuff can make them very insecure and feel very small. And when they're depressed, you might not know it, but you might know it when they're dark-sided. You're going to know, because they might have dark rings around their eyes, and they might just be overworking themselves and then brag about it, like I'm getting my money though. Like, what? You need to go take a nap or a break and to do some self-care, right? They punish themselves, and so that's the problem. They're ruled by Scorpio. They punish themselves about everything. They could, like, you think them dark-sided Capricorns is so something else. Like, you'll be sitting there having a conversation with them. Don't be sarcastic, but they'll be sarcastic with people all day. They'll be having these dry sense of humor and like just calling everything stupid. Like, that don't make no sense. But these dark-sided, negative traded Capricorn people will sit there, and you say something to them, they'll laugh it off with you. Some of them might be like, what you say? Some of them might laugh it off with you and go home and beat themselves up. Just completely punish themselves off of what you said. They take other people's criticism too serious. Like, they be like, I didn't forget what you said. Like, I'm telling you, they will self-sacrifice and punish themselves, because they're so lost in the status of what people think of them, the insecure, dark-sided ones, that they don't realize that they will that Saturn will take place a hold of them, and they will completely submit to punishing themselves. And they do it in ways that Saturn has, like master of isolation. They'll be alone. They may be prone to going to jail a lot and experiencing long terms of jail, long, times, periods. They could be very stern and mean and like to be alone and by themselves a lot if they do live with people. And the darker sided Capricorn people, even the lighter sided ones, they need to be alone, but the darker sided ones, they will be alone a lot more often, and they will have these really wicked, weird thoughts going on, and they have to cope with themselves. Now, I shout out all dark sided Capricorns that are doing the work when they know they are fighting depression, bipolar disorder, and all that, but they know to stay away from people. Do what you gotta do, because, believe it or not, I'm very alone by myself a lot. Okay, and so, but it's a choice. I can go hang out with people all I want, but older I'm getting, I'm Saturn dominant. So I have also Saturn in the 12th house. So I have to go through these long periods of solitude. So I absolutely understand why the feeling that a Capricorn, dark-sided Capricorn get when they're being alone for long periods of time. It's like a tormenting feeling. Like, it's like you just want to rip the inside of you out, because sometimes some part of everyone wants to connect with someone, like, but then we don't. So, like, okay, but just going back to Capricorn, it's like they want to connect, but then they don't want to connect because they know the beast that comes out when they do connect with others. It will always be some type of secret competition, authority, like who's above who, who make more money. They have this problem, there will always be secretly competing with others, and they could be haters too. They could really just hate on people just because they're mad that day, and they can be mean for no reason at all. They can be bullies growing up because they are angry, not even because they're being bullied, but just because they're angry. These people could wake up really mean, not be morning people at all type of stuff, or want things really quiet before they go to sleep. Very controlling of, their home and their children, and at a young age they want to be grown so that they can make money. That's a very strong urge to want to be grown, to make money. A lot of them, the jaded, dark-sided Capricorns, make money at a very early age, and they just, even the light-sided ones, some of them just start working off the back. But it's dark-sided when you just working, and you not taking care of yourself. Your body is your temple. Some people do things and they do it based on their mind, the way their mind thinking, the thoughts that they always have, right? And so sometimes a dark-sided Capricorn person can be very unaware of how they're dogging their body out. They can be abusive to themselves and to people in their relationship. The dark-sided Capricorn people might like to beat up their partners or mentally abuse their partners and verbally abuse their partners. Okay, like that Aries dark side, they like to threaten their partners, intimidate, and like flinch up on them and like punk them. That's kind of like the Capricorn energy, but they wanna hurt them. They could be sadistic even during sex. They might like to be sadistic in sex to where they are being what is the word start with a H? Humiliated. They might like to humiliate their lover or humiliate themselves. They lack remorse and empathy for others. And once you show them the weakness, they're going to always act on it. Even if you do like start getting stronger and standing up for yourself, they're always going to look for the weakness in you. They don't care to see you evolving and striving. Like that Libra, they'll be like, oh you standing up to me, huh? Like, oh, okay, let me just like, no. Capricorn be like, no, you still weak. I know you weak. Like, they just don't quit. You know, they could be very intimidated in that way, lack that empathy for others, lack that ability to just see the good once you have showed them how you are afraid or given them your power, you know. And it can take for them to go through long periods of solitudes for them to think. But I still wouldn't get close to a dark-sided Capricorn, because they are easily jaded and they have problems with having empathy and remorse for themselves. They punish themselves. So what do you think they're going to do to you? Let's think about it. You done thinking? Yeah. Worse. They could be very antisocial, and that could show, like, if you see a very antisocial, dark-sided person, you say, hey, what's your sign? They're like, Capricorn, stay away from them. Just leave them alone. That, because that antisocialness is showing you that they're observing you. They're looking for your weakness. They're sizing you up. They just deal with the world like that. They deal with themselves like that too. And they could be opportunists. They use people. They could get with men that they know they could use. Vice versa, the men could get with women that they know they can use. They'll slowly lure them in and then abuse them, whether it be mentally, emotionally, physically. But that's because they do that same type of abuse to themselves. So I hope this video has been helpful to you. Please let me know what you think below in the comments. Thank you so much for tuning in to Universal Love Law, and peace.